Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to take a look at another doctored up auction vehicle that I happen to run across. Now every time I have these guys figured out, or at least I think I do, they surprise me with something new. Sure, they use some of their old tactics, but they have some new surprises in store for us. So let's take a look at this car and see how bad they made it after they worked on it. So today's vehicle is a 22 Acura MDX technology package, having an identity crisis. Apparently it was born into the wrong body because that bumper is clearly a Type S. We'll get to that in a second. It's offered by our favorite sellers in Miami, Florida. And how do I know that? Well, they signed it with their trademark signature. It's listed with transmission damage, run and drive, and no title. It's a floor plan vehicle, so they don't get the title until they sell it. We have no seller down here because it is a third-party auction car. So let's have a look at it. Okay. So we can definitely see it was hit on this right front. We're missing a lug nut. Looks like they might have hammered out this fender a little bit. Some damage on the door. There's our signature from this seller, the drywall screws. I'd be willing to bet this is an eBay special headlight. And this is the wrong bumper. And they did a little bit of customizing here and put this mesh in here. It's supposed to have plastic grills and stuff. So apparently they bought a expensive bumper cover and stuck it on here. I'm not sure why. And if it was a new bumper cover and it was good, they ruined it with drywall screws. So no telling what it looked like before. But I do like this mesh. They went above and beyond. That's all I see over here. This door definitely isn't fitting right, so there might be some damage on this pillar. A little damage at the bottom here. This wheel does look like it's back, so it probably has some suspension damage. So maybe the suspension went back and hit this pillar, and that's why our door is messed up. Looks like this rear door might be a little out of whack too. We'll look at that in a second. Let's keep going. Okay, this side isn't much better. We got some damage on our hood. Got a chunk missing out of our fender. And it looks like they kind of hammered it out a little bit. There is no way that this damage happened and it missed this headlight, so that is most likely an eBay special. Hopefully we can see when we get under the hood. Missing the bottom half of the fender. We got some zip ties here. And of course the drywall screws on this side. But they've upgraded to zip ties over here. Definitely need some doors. So this thing got it on both sides. Little damage on the wheels, missing all of our liners. There's no plastic in there. It's just a bumper cover with the mesh just zip tied and drywall screwed on there. We got a little damage back here. Our exhaust is hanging down. Yeah, the top of this door is definitely not right. Same with that one. Missing a lug nut over here as well. Okay, we got your standard cutout airbags. Looks like this knee bolster. I would say that was deployed and they just stuck the cover back down there. Cut the airbag out of the driver's side, and I'm sure that this knee bolster is deployed as well if this one went off. We got some numbers written on inside there. It's definitely a used wheel. It's got a part number on it, so they did put a wheel on it. Missing lug nuts over here as well. So I'm going to say some suspension was missing and they had to collect the lug nuts to be able to put a wheel back on it. 16,993 miles. No ambient temperature, so we know that it probably doesn't have a sensor and has no parking sensors, so we got a little more gas than we usually get from this seller. A couple of dash emojis. Our back seat, a little torn up here. I'm going to take a wild guess and say that this was where the tire that was ripped off was sitting, since I'm pretty sure that they put some suspension on here. The tow truck driver probably threw the old tire inside here and tore up the
seats a little bit. This one, that cover doesn't look right, so I'm going to say maybe this side seat airbag went off. Maybe we can see it from the 360. There's our VIN. Yep, we definitely got some eBay special headlights here. The tabs are completely broken out of them. They're just sitting in there. This one as well. There's supposed to be tab back here. There isn't. Definitely have our radiator supports got some damage. Looks like they painted this bumper on the car. They painted all the push pins. Okay. We're missing a hood liner, so I'm not sure if they stole the hood liner out of it or this is a replacement hood, but it is damaged, so unknown. Don't see anything else under here. Can't tell if the cooling's damaged. Our hood latch on this side is bent over, so it probably only latches on one side. It has dual latches. And we are missing a driver's side wiper blade for some reason. And we did get a fob. Yeah, we're missing our radar unit. We're missing our emblem. Parking sensors, all this plastic. This stuff is not cheap. It's the wrong bumper anyway. And that is a Type S. They took the emblem off. Bumper and grill. Not a tech package. A better view of the side. I think we saw everything. That wheel is definitely back. Looks like there's a parking rock underneath it to hold it in place. Maybe there's no drive axle in there and it just rolls around. You see a little damage back there. Oh yeah. Underneath picture. We don't usually get these. Got a shield hanging down. Not sure how that happened. Looks like they might have put a jack underneath here and pushed this plastic up. Some scrapes over here. I'm not sure. This looks like it's the right front wheel inside here, taken from the left side. We're missing a boot on our tie rod end. Should be able to see the inner tie rod end. So there's definitely something down here. So I would imagine the suspension that they changed was on this side. This looks like it could be drive axle grease maybe. That's why they had to use the parking rock over here. Let's check out our engine run video. Well, it does run, but it doesn't seem like it runs very well. But we did get a better look under the hood here. We can see that our bracket for our fender is bent over. There's definitely a bolt missing. We get a free razor blade, rusty, but those are my favorite kind. We do have some scrapes here on this cover. All right, let's take a look at our 360. See if there's anything. These are just the pictures again, but maybe we can see some with our inside picture. We're missing a rearview mirror. Definitely our knee bolster went off down there and over here. Don't see any tears on our curtain on the driver's side. Driver's side seat looks okay. We do have a tear in our headliner up here from this curtain, so this curtain went off. Guaranteed they just cut it out of there. There's no chance they would have replaced that if they didn't replace the other ones that you can clearly see. And the back of this seat is definitely a little messed up. Can't tell about this seat cushion here, so if that bag did go off, they did a good job cutting it out of there. Our seatbelt's definitely pulled tight, so it's going to need some seatbelts as well. They didn't put this A-pillar trim back in right. All right, well, what do you think it looked like? Given that this side went off, I'm saying it was hit on the right front harder than the left front, but the left front suspension seems like they replaced it since it was missing that drive axle and a boot for the tie rod. So I'm kind of confused. So let's go see what it looked like before. Okay, well, they paid $12,100 for it back in the 24th of November in 23. They bought it in Copart at West Palm Beach. And at that time, there was no damage on this side at all. Our hood isn't damaged. Our fender isn't. We're missing our headlights. Our doors aren't damaged. Tire's flat, but looks like the suspension's okay. So they made it worse. Maybe they bought it and put parts from another vehicle on this one. That's the only thing I can think of, unless they damaged it somehow in transport, if those were the original panels. Yep, there's no damage there. We still have our damage back here. And there's a suspension that was missing. Our doors are still messed up. So we're missing our suspension over here. All this stuff up in the front. And that explains the fender. They hammered it out a little bit. We definitely had a passenger airbag that went off, so they replaced the windshield because this windshield is destroyed. Now we know why they put a bumper cover on it. And our eBay headlights. See our damage back here. And all of our airbags that went off. Our curtain airbag is definitely deployed up there. Seatbelt. All the airbags. Lots of dash emojis. And the most amazing part about the whole job, they actually put a mile on this car. Used up a little gas. Definitely the wheel sitting in here. They must have cleaned it up a little bit. You can see the suspension was sitting in this seat. Left a little mark, indent. So this is the grease from the tire. So it was a repairable car. I mean, you need some front end work, some suspension, and lots of airbags, but this is definitely a repairable car if you bought it for the right price. $12,000 was not the right price, but that's what they paid for it. But after they had their hands on it, and we still need all the parts that we needed from the original accident, minus a windshield that they put in, plus 2 doors and a fender, and whatever they did to the suspension down here, it's now a parts car. And that's exactly what they used it for, I guess, if they took these parts off another car and put them on there. So they kind of took a couple steps backwards, and they actually only want $800 more than they paid for it. So basically, I think that's probably what they have in it with the windshield and transport and everything else. Actually, they probably got a little more than that in it with auction fees and stuff. But they basically are just trying to get their money back and take their parts for free. And hoping that somebody just thinks this is a nice, easy job, just changing some outer panels. Maybe they missed the airbags. I don't know. It confuses me what they're trying to do. Maybe they just don't have a clue. I mean, why did you spend the money on an expensive bumper cover? Got me.
Well, what do you guys think the scenario on this one was? Did it get damaged in shipping from West Palm Beach down to Miami, and that's where that damage on the left front came from? Do you think that it got damaged on its 1 mile test drive? Or do you think they had a vehicle that was the right color and they just swapped out all their parts, threw a bumper cover and a windshield and some suspension on it just to pass this thing off after taking off their parts? Or do you think it's some entirely different scenario? Let me know down in the comments. Well, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.